Hey everybody, this is Seth from ComingOutTarot. I want to take a moment and talk a little bit about chosen family. I think chosen family is a topic that we don't hear a lot about, at least in the tarot community. I think in the queer community we do. And it has resurfaced since, at least for me, it's resurfaced since Pose came back on the air. So if you haven't seen Pose on FX, it's an amazing show. It's actually got transgender actors playing transgender roles in the 1980s at the height of the AIDS crisis in New York. And it starts with helping the viewer understand what it means to be a part of a house or having chosen family. They are not one and the same, but they're very interrelated. I want to talk about chosen family because I think that a lot of queer people respond to this, relate to this, and I think that eventually, at some point, there is a time when our straight allies and those who are not our allies in the queer community find that there is family that is beyond their immediate family or their blood family. And it often happens when you go to college. Kind of happens a little bit in high school where you get your group of friends, your cliques, whoever your best friends are. That's a mini version of chosen family. And when you leave home, I think that's when you really start to find your chosen family. Because what happens is you find the people that are there for you in challenging times. You find the people that are there for you in the best times. And it becomes stronger than just friends. It becomes that support system, that support network that exists for you when you are away from home. And it becomes especially important when home doesn't want you and when home doesn't exist. When you are out on your own and you don't have some place to call home, chosen family becomes that. And you even start to verbalize. You start to say, oh, I'm from wherever it is that your family is, instead of where you may have been raised. So even, for example, easy example, I'm from Oregon, and I will always tell people that I'm from Oregon. But I've also been in Chicago for almost 20 years. So I am half of my life has been in Chicago, half of my life has been in Oregon. So when I'm from Oregon, I also answer the question, depending on where I am in the country, I'll say I'm from Chicago. Because it's part of who I am now, and my chosen family is here. My in-laws are here, and in-laws are also a type of chosen family. So since the queer community could get married in 2014, yay, in 2014, I married my now husband, Steve. I was going to say current. I went, does that mean that I'm planning on having another one? No. So my now husband, Steve, and have this whole set of in-laws. Well, the in-laws are just as amazing as he is. So that is part of my chosen family, because Steve and I chose each other, but we also chose each other's families. And you don't always get to do that. Sometimes the family is not what you're looking for. And we're lucky. I think both of our families are pretty amazing. But outside of that, we have this whole set of chosen family of individuals around us, as a couple and singularly. So as a couple, we have some chosen family of other couples who also happen to be childless. Now that I'm thinking about it, the families that have had children, or whether adopted or naturally birthed them, we don't have as much contact with. There's a little less in common. So that chosen family has shifted to adults who don't have children but happen to be coupled. They're married, they're partnered. When I first moved here, though, that chosen family was my graduate class. It was the people that I spent all day with. It was the people that I spent all night with. And as the only out queer person in that class, I was seeking other queer people. I was looking for my community, and I was coming from a really rough version of chosen family. And moving here, it had been very solid and supportive, and I exited a relationship, and that scratched the record of chosen family. It didn't cause anybody to take sides. It's just I didn't really fit in that space anymore, and I had to step away. And in Chicago, I was looking for that queer chosen family, and I realized in my distance from my graduate school class, the distance for that was that I was looking for this queer family. I needed to find a queer family, and that was hard to do. I lived in Andersonville. I had lived in Boys Town, both of which are pretty predominantly gay areas. I mean, Boys Town and Andersonville was very populated with a lesbian community at the time. It is now more boys than it is lesbians. As the population shifts, but I also then moved away from that space, and I lost my connection with these living queer spaces, and so it became harder to be around and to look for chosen family, especially queer chosen family. And I still experience that today, and I know that I have some queer chosen family. I can think of them very clearly. I know who they are. The effort is in making sure that we stay together and connected. Now, more than ever, I've learned that my queer chosen family spans states. It spans countries. And I have this network of people that are amazing and supportive, and we support each other, and we're here for each other, and we need to be. Why do we need to be? Because first, not all of our families, our blood families, are on board with who we are and the lives that we lead. Two, because most queer relationships aren't producing or adopting children. There isn't that second layer of offspring that are coming up to care for you as you get older. So that means we have each other. We have a community. We have a village. We have this chosen family that we will care for each other. And there's this unspoken understanding that we'll be around for each other. And so you build in those little catch safes and those trusts so that chosen family can be there for you. I think the hardest thing about chosen family is the relationships within it, and you don't always understand where someone might be coming from, or they may not understand where you're coming from. As our relationships shift and change and our lives grow, chosen family sometimes shifts and changes, either through distance or through what your needs are or their needs are today. So chosen family isn't like a ride or die. It's not a blood is thicker than water thing. It is, here's what we need for each other right now, and we're going to be with each other as long as is necessary. That's how I see chosen family. So when those relationships are challenging or they sour, what do? I wish that I had tarot when I was looking for chosen family, so that I could, one, go through, it's kind of like a lie detector test, go through this experience of how can I better this relationship? What's the strength of this relationship? What are the unknowns or the shadow sides of this relationship? What are the expectations of me in this relationship? So that I could always come from a place of power for myself in order to better understand the relationship of the chosen family that I was trying to create, and build those relationships and those strengths in a way that would make the best chosen family for all of us. but in particular from my point of view, so that I knew I had the people around me that I needed to have around me. Not having tarot at the time, and not having, and I should say I didn't have tarot, because I did have it because I've been reading, but I didn't read for myself. I prefer to have another reader read for me, and I didn't have a tarot reader to help me get through these things. So while I would occasionally use tarot and read for myself, I always second guess my opinions. I was never quite sure if this was the right answer. Was I looking for the answer that was coming up? Was I exploring deep enough so I didn't end up with an answer that I thought was just surface and what I'd hoped would appear? So having a reader to reach out to was really important, but I had to find the right one in order to know that I could work through the relationship questions that I have. And I've got a couple posts on that you can go find out more about how to find the best reader for you. My goal will be to link that in the notes so that you can find the best reader for you, but also not just finding the best reader for you, but how to manage those relationships. I really wish that I'd had a reader to help me think through those things, because it would have made what is seemingly a tedious process that much shorter. I could have built these relationships faster, stronger. And relationships takes their time, but the insight would have been helpful. The guidance would have been perfect. The opportunity to do better instead of make more mistakes would have been incredible. So in retrospect, I wish that I'd worked with a tarot reader sooner to better understand the relationships in the family that we choose. Now, I'll also add that this family, chosen family, is necessary. It's necessary because we can't always be with our blood family, and that chosen family is going to help us thrive and survive. It's going to take us places we never could get on our own. So I do hope that you're finding chosen family. If you are, and if you're looking for people to be a part of that chosen family, and you're not quite sure where they stand, how you feel about the individual, what you might need to know about them that could be hidden if you're, not that you're psychic spying, but things that you might want to find out a little bit more about your relationship that they may be holding on to that could help you serve the relationship better, then maybe it's time to think about getting a tarot reading. That's especially why, just like in the last video, I created this spread called Relationships Hidden, Insights Explained, because it helps to grow those relationships sooner, faster, stronger. It's the importance of it. I hope this is helpful. If it is, hit that thumbs up button, because it'll not only let me know it's helpful, but it'll get in front of other people. The sun's starting to come in from this side of the house, and it's getting bright. Hit that subscribe button if this is helpful, because I'd love for us to keep track of each other. And leave me some comments. What do you think about chosen family? What experiences have you had with chosen family that you'd like to share, so that we can have a conversation about what it means to have chosen family in the queer community and why we need it. I'd love to hear more about what you have to say. Thanks, everybody. See ya.